Le Mans Ultimate has just dropped its massive 1.4 update, and while everyone is talking about the new content, one change caught my attention immediately, and that is VR. The patch notes mention improvements to VR, including OpenXR FOV resolution scaling, but the real question is, does it actually run better? A few months ago, I tested Le Mans Ultimate's VR performance, and let's just say there was definitely room for improvement. So today we are running the exact same benchmarks again, using the same settings, the same scenarios, and the same hardware to find out whether Update 1.4 finally delivers the VR experience we have been waiting for. Let's jump into the benchmarks and find out. Let's run through the in-game settings. I'm using the same settings as before. So if I go to the graphics settings, you can see the post-processing effects is set to low for VR. Pretty much all other settings are set to high or ultra, except the last three, that is somewhere around this reflection, road reflection, environment reflection, and raindrops. Those are set to medium. On the PC side, I'm using an RTX 5070 with 12 gigs of VRAM. I'm using a AMD Ryzen 5 7600 CPU paired with 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM. As for the VR headset, I am using my old school Pico 4, and this headset I've been using for 3 years now. It's not the best, but it gets the job done. With the 1.4 update in LMU, there's also a content drop, that is the US track pass that included Daytona and Laguna Seca for this month. And I thought to test the Daytona performance first in VR. And as you can see, Daytona at daytime with around 18 AI cars, I am getting around 70 to 80 FPS when they are all bunched up together. Racing feels immersive in Le Mans Ultimate in VR, and also with my RTX 5070, I didn't get any stutterings or frame drops. The gameplay was smooth and it's completely drivable. I'm driving the GT3 Porsche, and in this section of the track where the oval section begins, I was constantly reaching those 90 FPS limit in my Pico 4. One thing to note is that I am using the virtual desktop streaming app in my PC and the virtual desktop app in my Pico 4 headset to utilize that OpenXR VR framework. And maybe that is how I'm getting these kind of FPS and smoothness, because Le Mans Ultimate have implemented the native OpenXR framework in this update. All other settings for the VR you can see at the bottom of the video. I'm using the Ultra preset graphic quality in the virtual desktop app to give me good enough resolution without the expense of bottlenecking my GPU. And with that, I'm getting around 70 to 90 FPS in Daytona at daytime. Here is a quick performance overview of using the graphics quality set to Godlike in virtual desktop app. This just gives me a better resolution, so the images seemed a bit sharper, but in my experience it was not eye-opening. But as you can see, I am losing FPS around 5 to 10 FPS, I would say, than using the Ultra preset. So I would rather stick to the Ultra graphic quality preset, which gives me decent resolution with good FPS in my Pico 4 headset. One important thing to note here is the latency spent on encoding, networking, and decoding in the PCVR headsets. Since my Pico headset cannot directly get the uncompressed images from the GPU, my GPU has to encode the images and send it via this networking stream. And that adds these latencies you can see for encoding, networking, and decoding. I like how Pimax do the VR implementation in their headsets. First, their pixel per eye resolution is quite high, around 3840 pixels per eye for the Crystal Super headset, which makes the images in virtual reality as clear as it could be without causing eye strain. Plus, they connect directly to the GPU, hence the images are uncompressed and are not streamed over the network, thus eliminating any kind of latency. Check my affiliate links down below if you want to get some discounts on Pimax headsets and at the same time support my channel. Back to the ultra graphics preset quality in the virtual desktop app and Daytona at nighttime, you can see the FPS dropped considerably here. I have heard that in Le Mans Ultimate, the Daytona nighttime races are actually a performance overhead for all other GPUs, and I can clearly see that in my Pico 4 with the RTX 5070. My FPS dropped almost to around 40 FPS. And 40 FPS in a sim racing title, I wouldn't say it's a good playable scenario, especially if you are playing online races. And in these oval section of the Daytona, previously I was reaching the 90 FPS mark, but here in the nighttime, I'm reaching around 60 to 70 FPS. But I cannot deny the fact the fun you get with this VR immersion. And in Daytona, guys, holy, I'm close racing, although this is our AI cars, but the ambience in Daytona is really awesome. And finally, here we are at the WeatherTech Laguna Seca with 18 AI cars again. The FPS is around 70 to 80 FPS, sometimes it reaches 90, but you can also see that the cars are bunched up together. This is the start of the race, so I would expect some FPS drops here, but the gameplay is smooth. Also guys, do remember that I'm running all the settings at ultra quality, so if I run it at around medium to high resolution or medium to high quality, then I would expect some more FPS out of Le Mans Ultimate. Let me know in the comments guys, which GPU are you running your headset with and which kind of headset are you using, and how LMU is performing for you guys. It would be interesting to know your insights. I hope this video was useful and as well as enjoyable. Till then, happy racing, and I will see you in the next one.